Hello, everyone. Hi there. I'm Sandy Peckinpah, and I'm joining you live on this Thursday. Is it Thursday? Yes, it's Thursday. Cynthia's here. Cynthia, you're going to like this broadcast. I think every writer will like this broadcast because what do we all deal with at one time or another? We deal with writer's block, creative block. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. And you guys are going to give me ideas, and I'm going to give you ideas. Sue, you got a new handle. I'm glad you're here. We're going to be talking about creative blocks. And that's my sister. I love it. I love it when she joins. So for those of, I missed a couple people that came on, but welcome. I'm so glad you're here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sandy Peckinpah. I've written 4 books. I am writing my 5th book now, and I am so proud to say that they have done very well and that they have made a difference in the world. And so what I love doing is sharing my story and my writing journey with you in order to help you wake up your creative life, because every one of you has the possibility of leaving your mark on the world in a really special way, right? Right. Tap those hearts if you agree with me. Yay. So, oh, no hearts? Surely there's one. Anyway, I hope this is broadcasting okay because the internet was down. Oh, I've been banishing them by saving email replies to friends for when I feel block gets words flow. Oh, flowing. Okay. Jessica, here come the hearts. I knew they were there somewhere. Jessica, welcome. We're going to be talking, I told you all this week was Writers Week. It's all about those, and you know what, not just writers, but creative people. In every way, someone is creative. I promise you. You know what? My sister's creative. You know how she's creative? She is creative in that she loves delving into genealogy. It's a miracle, the information that she gets. 8 Fry is here. Thank you. And you already are giving me immediate hearts. Welcome. So, glad you're here. We are going to be talking about embracing creative blocks, not fearing them, but embracing creative blocks. I can tell you that once I stopped fearing them was when my work started to flow no matter what. And that's what I have 10 points that we're going to be talking about today, so I better get to it so that I don't have you miss any content. You're 1/10 away from 2 million hearts. No, from 1,000,001. 1,100,000, my dear. I'm 1/10 away. 9/10 away. Oh, I'm so mixed up. I'm at 1,100,000 hearts. Thanks to all of you. I didn't give those hearts to myself. I am so grateful for your participation. So, what is a creative block? What is writer's block? It's not what you think it is. I promise you. I've done a lot of work around this. My friends get responses to emails much faster once I started embracing the mental space. Fantastic. And I bet your emails were so creative. 1/10 from 2 million. Is that wrong? Let's see. No, I think I'm 9/10 from 2 million because I'm only 1/10 of the way there. So, something like that. Thank you. Let me move on to the writing I want to do. It does. You know, that's a good technique, and we're going to be talking about that. Judy's here. And Jessica, thank you for sharing. So for those of you who don't know me and have not followed me, please follow me. I know there are so many of you on the internet that this number doesn't show. And I'm always surprised when I get off of these broadcasts and I see 4 times the amount of people that watched it than I thought. And so please consider joining me because that way you'll get all of my information and continue to hear the broadcasts, especially if you're a creative person and you're looking at life in a new creative way. So thank you for the hearts. Let's talk about 10 ways to make blocks the next step in finishing your project. Embracing writer's block and creative block instead of fearing it. So you think that creative block comes from you have no more creativity left. That's what a lot of people think that writer's block comes from. But where it really comes from is creative overwhelm. You are in the midst. You think that it's lack of ideas, but it is a million ideas muddled up. The first quote I shared with you was about fear. Yes, you did. You had some great, bottleneck ideas. That's exactly what I'm saying, Cynthia. It's bottlenecked ideas because you're such a creative person that your mind is abuzz in many different directions. So it gets clogged up in the pipe. So, loving my cappuccino. So, I've found that creative block is really an excess of ideas that just need to have clarity. Fear is like goldfish. If you keep feeding it, you can't flush it down the toilet. Oh, that makes me laugh. So I experienced it recently when I started my new book. Block, B-L-O-C-K, block, creative block, writer's block. When you're suddenly at an impasse and you don't know where to go and your creativity is stopped. That's what writer's block is. Every time I tell someone I'm a writer, usually if the conversation continues, they'll say two things. One is, I always wanted to write a book. I always wanted to tell my story. And two is, how do you handle writer's block? Now, for those of you who are writers out there, I know people have asked you because they ask me all the time. Kalila's here. I'm so glad you're here, Kalila. Sometimes I think writer's block comes from people thinking they're not talented. That's the fear. That's exactly the fear. So when you search the internet and you look up writer's block, similar to Marianne Williamson's quote on fear, yes. I love that quote, by the way. When you search writer's block on the internet, you'll see things like take a walk on the beach, go to the park, read a good book, meditate. Well, I can tell you that our soul sister here, Shavana, did a broadcast this morning about meditating. She says you can meditate all day long, but unless you do the work, nothing will happen. Oh, here comes the train. I don't know if you can hear it. Blades Out 211, welcome. We're talking about creative blocks. And everybody gets them if you're creative. Everybody gets them. And it takes a little bit of finesse to figure out a way to make it work for you instead of against you. Oh, I'm sorry, I just missed that comment, sweetie. So I created new strategies that work for me instead of against me. And what are those strategies? That's great. What are those strategies? Well, they're strategies that by implementing them, the flow happens. The flow starts to, where it's stopped, it starts to break up. And not only does it unlock that one creative thing you feel you're stuck on, but it starts to expand your ideas and takes you even further in your writing than you ever thought possible. Hoopla! It does. Oh, I love you guys. So, now, like shaking up the sand in a stuck hourglass. I love that, Cynthia. So now, when I start to feel that muddle of ideas, and this happened as I started writing this book now that I'm writing, and I started writing it in July, and I started to say, but wait a minute, I want to include this, and I want to include this, and that, and oh my gosh, now I don't know where to go. Well, I went back to look at some of the techniques I had used, and I went to my journal, and I said, I wanted to find the places where writer's block had taken hold and that I had broken them up. How do you do that? I have 10 ways for you. So if you want to take notes, this might be helpful, and put them in your journal. your idea garden that we created in January. For all of you that have been with me since January, you know that I encouraged you to get an idea garden, and it looks something like this. This is my current idea garden because I started a new one. Okay. Oh, thank you, Judy. This is my new idea garden, and it's a wire-bound book. And the reason I like a wire-bound book is because I can fold it backwards and have a really firm writing situation. And so those of you who don't know what this is or were not with me on the Writer's Challenge, I can tell you this is not just a journal. It is literally filled with so much that you need in life, because you start filling it with, while you're watching Periscope, you write down these ideas I'm giving you. Or if you're watching somebody else, your mind on paper, that's a good description. If you have a story germane to Bigfoot, I'm not sure what that means, but a good grip on your writing, yes. I put notes in there. I put notes from other people. I write notes when I'm reading people's books and I want to remember something. I write quotes in there. I write my feelings. I write everything in these journals. Now, I've got stacks of journals this high, like along a row, in my closet because I've done this my whole life. I think I was about 12 or 13 when I started with my first journal. And then I thought journals were only for my own thoughts. What I learned is that as you grow, you gather thoughts like a garden of flowers. As it grows and then it reseeds itself and then it grows more and more. It's an idea garden. What quote are you reminding yourself of a lot recently? Oh gosh, I've got one at the end of this, okay? I've got one I'm going to read to you. So, and actually, Shavana's broadcast today gave a good quote, and I hope I wrote it down in here correctly. Number one, have a conversation with yourself. And it goes something like this. This is your first tool. Go back to your outline of what you are hoping to accomplish, whether it's a book or a drawing or anything. And start out by saying, I was just thinking about, okay, so let me give an I was just thinking about how I handled writer's block. And you can, hold on one second, I think I need to, I think I'm going to block. Okay. So you can, yeah, you'd be surprised at the results you get when you decide what you want to focus on. Yes. So have a conversation with yourself. Go back to what you wanted to do, and you say to yourself, I was just thinking about, and I'm going to use the writer's block as an example, and how I want to share it with people. What I want them to know is this. Judy, are you having trouble with the definition of writer's block? Talk with you, not to you. Talk with yourself. Talk with yourself. Because the writer's, I know that you may not have experienced this. You write so much. What is writer's block exactly? And as I was saying just at the beginning of this broadcast, people say it's an interruption in your creative flow. What I think it is that it's an excess of creative flow. Oh, I see. Okay. And that's what Cynthia confirmed too, is that Cynthia says, she gets like boggled. Think of how it would feel to be creatively inspired. No, because you're talking directly to the thing that you want to clarify, my dear. So you're saying, if you're blocked on a particular thing, like say you're writing a blog and you're saying, where do I go now? Because I don't know what to write about. You stop and you say, I was just thinking about, and I'm going to use the example of writer's block and how I want to share it with people. What I want them to know is this. And then I start listing the things that I want them to know. So you can, and you don't have to do this on paper. You can record this on your phone and just have a conversation with yourself. And this is a great tool for opening up that muddle. It works. It worked for this blog that I'm just sharing with you. I wanted you to know stuff about writer's block, and I thought, oh, but everybody just says go for a walk or, or read a book or meditate. I want to tell them more. And so that's how I broke the block on this particular subject. Number 2, meet a friend at Starbucks. I know you'll like this one, Cynthia. And tell them you're stuck. Choose a friend that you trust and that you feel good about, who will really listen to you, a good listener. And ask them, would they mind hearing about your book and why it's important to you? Don't talk about the details of your book. Talk about the why of your book. Why are you writing this book? What it is you want them to know. So if you're not going to have a conversation with yourself, which was step 1, have a conversation with another person. Tell them why you want them to know. So I'm going to give the example of writer's block. I want to tell you why writer's block is important for me to share with people and how I can help them. That's why I enjoy Starbucks. Always other writers around. Always. It's a great place to go to interrupt if you're struggling, and also if you're just lonely. I mean, I've been lonely in my house before, and I've been there all by myself with my thoughts and think to myself, I haven't been out of the house all day on my days off from work, and I've been writing, and I feel lonely. And so what do? I go to Starbucks, and I take my computer, and I sit there with my cappuccino. And yes, there's always another writer at Starbucks. I always have a conversation. So, you have coffee shop buddies too. That's great. You enjoy your writing time. Makes it more fun. Step 3, Skype with a fellow author. Now, I've done this with Liberty, and I wish that Liberty was on this broadcast, but she's very busy at this time of day, so she hasn't been able to join us. Liberty is a wonderful writer. She's written many books, and she's a Huffington Post blogger. I have gotten on Skype with her and asked her to help me before. It's always fun to be among like-minded people. That's right, 8 Fry. It's wonderful. So get on Skype and ask them what they're working on. Now, this is a little twist because you can ask them for help on what you're working on. But here's a tool for breaking up your own creative block. Ask if you can give them ideas about what they're working on. I'm telling you, some of my greatest ideas for myself have come through sharing thoughts about another person's work. You like this one? I see the hearts coming up. Good. It works because suddenly the right brain is functioning again. It's open to new ideas. And so when I'm sharing with Liberty some thoughts on her work, suddenly I say, I just had a thought about my own work, and I write it down in my idea garden. And it always works. I'm telling you, there is an energy between two creative people, like-minded people, that comes alive when you have a conversation about your work. 8 Fry, you say, I think there's a part in most people, all people, that is insecure. Many fill the void with bullying. Yes, we've talked about bullying, and go back and look at some of my broadcasts on bullying, and it's painful. But I'm not talking about bullies. I'm talking about people that are like-minded and people that connect with you in a creative way. When you're connected in a creative way, there's an energy that flows that makes you better at what you're doing. Number 4, you don't have to write your book in sequence. And this is the great misconception when people start writing books, is that they think that they have to, or even blogs, they think they have to write it in sequence. Sometimes I've written blogs by writing the ending first, and that's the old Stephen Covey thing, begin with the end in mind. Because I know what I want them to know. My point was being among like-minded people is a healthy way to fill the void. I hate the character limit sometimes. Oh, my dear, but you are gifted with your thoughts. So keep them coming. Keep them coming. I was telling my sister today, because she asked about you, and I was telling my sister today, you're so wise, and I love the thoughts that you come up with. You have a real creative and insightful mind. I always read the last sentence, first books, blogs, first, and books and blogs and newspapers. Oh, interesting. Interesting approach. Well, so this step 4 is the Stephen Covey principle. You don't have to write your book in sequence. I often jump into the middle of chapters or in the middle of the book or write the end of the book or write the end of the blog and then start from the beginning. This is one of the greatest antidotes for writer's block there is, and I've used it over and over and over again. Kalila says, like puzzle pieces, that's how I write, then put them together. Oh, I'm so glad I'm not the only one. You do it too. Beautiful. I have a hunch. I was just at a concert with Shawn Colvin, the singer Shawn Colvin. She wrote that song Sunny in 2006, I think. Very famous song. We tend not to do linear thinking. Great point, Judy. And Shawn Colvin was talking about how she writes songs. And she was talking about how she had written like the third verse, and then she went back and had help on writing the first verse, and how then she held off on the chorus. And I guess songwriters are the same way. They don't always write it in sequence. Maybe they just come up with a great tune and great lyrics for the middle of the song, but haven't figured out the rest of it. It doesn't mean that you're blocked. It just means that you are going about it in a different way. So embrace it. Again, the title of this broadcast, Embrace the Writer's Block. Embrace the creative block. It's not a bad thing. It can help you move forward. Number 5. R.L. Stine said to always know the ending first, but the Goosebumps book have messed up endings. Oh, interesting. And I'm not familiar with the Goosebumps books. I think I probably should be. Number 5, embrace it. What you resist persists. Yes, punctuate that. Perfectly said. Writer's block is often a lack of confidence. This is step 5. Writer's block is often a lack of confidence. We begin to question if we're good enough. I don't know whether they read them. It doesn't ring a bell. They do. The journey to those messed up endings is great. Oh, Cynthia knows them too. Darn, what am I missing? Maybe I do. Maybe my kids did read them. Okay, thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, 8 Fry. So remember, we always begin to question, are we good enough? We say, oh gosh, is anybody going to read my story? There are other books that are like this. I could say that many people wrote books about losing a child. No one had my point of view. No one. My view had meaning and purpose for people that could relate to me. And so I knew that, I mean, goodness, if you type in losing a child on Amazon, you'll see any number of books come up. But I couldn't let that discourage me because no one had told it from my perspective and what I learned and what I knew. No one. So I continued on. And I'm so glad I did. So never ask yourself, and this is step 5, it can be a lack of confidence, but never ask yourself how good your writing is. Ask yourself, has anyone told your story from your point of view? And can they be as effective as you are at telling that story? So don't ask how good your writing is. Ask how effective it is from your point of view. Oh, yes. Too many angels. That's right, a lot of angel stories. So, people will always find the people that they can connect to. They will always find those people. Trying is always better than not trying. Yes. And a smiley. Number 6. Are you hanging in there with me? Thanks for those hearts. Hang in there with me because we're not done yet. Oh, that blue, it almost matches my top. Number 6 on writer's block. And this one, I think this is a good one for Cynthia. Rewrite an old blog to get your creativity flowing. Because guess what? You're not the same person you were when you wrote that blog in the past. You're a different person. So read the comments on your blog. Time flies when I watch your scopes. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you. Been doing lots of that, rewriting and mega editing. And Cynthia, isn't it amazing what you find within those old blogs that have changed your perspective? Because you're not the same person you were a year ago. I have gone back and looked at some of my old blogs because I'm piecing together parts of them for my new book because they have relevance for my new book and my perspective. And I've discovered I'm not sure I have that thought about that incident anymore. And then I rewrite it. Been trying to find a book similar to what I'm writing. Yeah, research is good to find out who else is doing it, but don't get too bogged down in the fact that it's been done before. Trust yourself. Have you ever read a journal of yours from middle? Oh, yes, and is it embarrassing? It's totally embarrassing. Unique, yes. My husband made me this cappuccino. He makes good ones. Yes, it's uniquely you. Your story is unique to you. And guess what? There is somebody that will relate to you and how you're feeling. So, read the comments and find new ways to tell your reader what you want them to know. This particular subject is one of those rewritten blogs because I realized that I had so many more thoughts since the last time I wrote about it. So you see what happens? It went suddenly from a few ideas to many ideas, and none of the old ones. Number 7, use your live stream audience as a resource. Let me say that again. Use your live stream audience as a resource. Now, I want to take this moment to thank you for filling me with such creativity. Yes, you. You fill me with purpose because I look forward to being able to do this every day. Plus, your feedback gives me greater insight. My meadow for gathering flowers, and I'm going to use flowers as ideas, for my idea garden is far greater having done a year of these broadcasts because of what I learned from you. So I want to thank you. In French, you rhymes is with us. It's good that way. Vous rhymes with us. Beautiful. If you're not sure how to broadcast, just direct message me on Twitter, and I'll send you my Periscope tip sheet for free. It gives you A, B, C, D, everything. Vous and nous. Oh yeah, you and us. Vous and nous. And moi and toi, right? Moi, me, toi, you. Isn't that right? Tell me that's right. Moi and toi. I painted china cups and I wrote moi and toi on it. Did you ever see Tangled? I don't think so. Okay, good, that's right. Is Tangled a movie? Toi, that's right. So you use your audience as a live resource for your ideas. You continue to give me ideas. And that breaks up my blockage of creativity. So sometimes when you think you have nothing to talk about, you suddenly have a lot to talk about because you're getting feedback. And I'm grateful for you. Oh, okay. Oh, I'll have to look up that one. I love Disney movies. Number 8. We're almost to the end, so hang in there. Post in your Facebook group or meet with a writing group. And I'm emphasizing group. Ask members if you can get feedback or give them feedback. Give them specific points of discussion. They changed it to Tangled because they were afraid of the original title would scare the boys away. Oh, interesting. So, this idea of like how they changed the Snow Queen to Frozen. Oh, okay. I like Snow Queen better. I imagine you've heard of Frozen. Yes, I saw the movie. I loved it. So, when you go to your group and you say, I'm struggling with some story points, I'd like to ask you, do you want to see me write more about confidence as a writer, or do you want to see me write more about mindset? And then you start to get feedback. You can write this in your group, and people will give you feedback. If you're a fiction writer, you can say something like, what are your thoughts about the lead character maybe having like an eating disorder, and so it affects and determines her actions and reactions to everything? And then what you do is you start to get feedback on those story points, and it breaks up the writer's block. Mindset. Mindset is your beliefs. And we've talked a lot about beliefs, Judy. Beliefs are thoughts that you have over and over again until they become a belief. They can be true or not true. It's all according to how your mindset views those beliefs. What you think about, you bring about. Yes, that's a beautiful clarification, 8 Fry. So, number 9, allow yourself to write bad in order to get good. There's a term that says something like, just write ugly. Just write ugly. Or just start painting ugly. Or just start photographing ugly. And then once you get to that point, then your mind starts to tell you where to go with it. There can be miracles when you believe, though hope may be frail. It's hard to kill. Yes. Hope is always there. Hope rises up out of words that you write in your idea garden. So you can always write ugly and then go back and clean it up, because guess what? The genius, as Jeff Goins says, the genius stuff happens in the editing process, in the rewriting process. No one's first draft is beautiful. No one's. Pardon my French, pun intended, but yes, just do it. Just do it. That was funny. Number 10, and this is the last tool for today, but I'm going to have a great quote for you at the end. No, I won't. Hire a consultant for guidance and accountability. You know, it's important to have an accountability partner. An accountability partner holds you in high regard for your personal goals. It's that extra push that sometimes shifts you into gear when you're feeling out of gear, when you can't quite get that clutch in place. This is where you turn pro. Accountability. Think about this. If you were told that Oprah Winfrey wanted you to finish your book in 2 months so that she could interview you on the Oprah show, do you think you'd finish it? You bet. That's called having a reason for accountability. Dive into your reason for accountability. Why do you want to finish this book? The why is everything. That gives you the accountability. Give yourself that gift of accountability. I seriously hope you get Oprah. Oh, bless you. That's my prayer. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Giving yourself that kind of mental accountability will get the job done. And I don't care whether it's another writer or a coach or, Lady Gaga releasing a new song today for the first time in years. Let me tell you something about Lady Gaga. She said that she checks herself into a hotel room and she does not come out. She gets room service and she does not come out until the song is finished. Now that's one way of accountability. And what she has is accountability to her audience and accountability to her manager and her record producer, her label. Accountability gets the job done. Find out ways to hold yourself accountable. What happens when you, and here's a quote. I want to give you this quote. It's from Stephen Pressfield, and he's a writer that I've talked about before. He wrote the book, The War of Art. And The War of Art is one of my favorite books about writing. He says, what happens when we turn pro is we finally listen to that still small voice inside our heads. At last, we find the courage to identify the secret dream or love or bliss that we have known all along was our passion, our calling to destiny. I knew writing was my call to destiny when I first started writing with my husband years ago. But I was too afraid to write on my own. I didn't think I could do it. But I did it when my calling could no longer be denied. It was in there. And I don't care if your calling is to be a writer or a painter or a jeweler or whatever. Oh, the Shavana quote. Yes. It's inside of you. Okay, let me see if I can find it. It was so good. Oh, darn it, I don't have it. Would you go into Facebook and watch Shavana's broadcast? It is so good. Maybe I can find it really quick. Kalila, I'm so sorry. Because there were 10 points in all for releasing that creative block. 10 points in all. I'm going to see if I can find it in here because I loved what Shavana talked about today. She was saying that we can get stuck thinking that meditation or a dream happens. And it doesn't just happen by meditating. It doesn't just happen by having a dream or writing down goals. It happens because of action. And the title of her broadcast on Facebook, and it's in our Facebook group, so go to Livestream with Sandy Peckinpah, because I posted her broadcast, Livestream with Sandy Peckinpah on Facebook. And if you go in there, can't spell attraction without action. Beautiful. She said, spiritual development does not equal personal development. And she got that from Lisa Nichols. Spiritual development does not equal personal development. We can read the Bible or meditate or go to church or meet with other like-minded spiritual people all day long. but it does not mean that we develop personally. How we develop personally is up to us. Finishing those goals, accessing those dreams and implementing them, and taking the very next step. You don't have to see far in the distance to do this, folks, because you may not have clarity yet. All you have to do is take the very next step. For me, that meant committing to writing another book, my 5th book. And all I had to do was sit down with myself and start having a conversation about why I wanted to write this next book. I wanted to do it for you. Yes, for me. Writing is always about doing it for yourself. But I wanted to then give it to you to read. That's my why. Remember, the journey is the destination. I think that's the perfect way to end this broadcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back on Monday. And, thank you, Jessica. I'm so glad. And I appreciate all of the hearts. If you want to take a look at, follow me at Sandy Peckinpah, and you can always visit my website too, sandypeckinpah.com. Thank you, Judy. You're the best. All right, my friends, talk to you soon. Bye.